The knife slid through the golden brown turkey, steam curling into the air. But I wasn't tasting the holiday spirit. My daughter's secret recordings had just confirmed what my gut had been screaming for months. My wife and her family were planning my replacement at Christmas dinner in my own house, with my children forced to watch it all unfold. And yet, what they didn't know was that I still held the winning cards. Before I dive deeper into this unbelievable story, make sure to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss the twists coming next. James Carter. My name is James Carter, 47 years old, and I thought I understood what family meant after 18 years of marriage to Bethany. We built a life in Denver, raised 2 kids, Mia, 17, sharp as a blade, and Owen, 15, wise beyond his years. I run a contracting business that's more successful than I ever dreamed, inherited this house from my grandmother, and thought I had everything figured out. But this Christmas morning cracked that illusion wide open. The day started at 5:30 a.m. The world outside was quiet, blanketed in snow so perfect it looked painted, the kind of Christmas card scene people pay money for. The coffee brewed, the turkey prepped, gifts waited under the tree. It should have been a morning of warmth, but instead a knot twisted in my stomach. Call it instinct, call it dread, but something was off before the day had even begun. Bethany, of course, was still upstairs, asleep, like she had been every Christmas morning for years. That left me to handle everything alone: breakfast, decorations, gifts, the works. By 7, Mia shuffled in wearing pajamas, but already sharper than most adults before their second cup of coffee. She poured herself a mug, raised an eyebrow, and asked, "Mom's still asleep?" I only nodded. No point lying, she knew better. A few minutes later, Owen joined us, dragging his new game console from its box, eyes already bright. For a moment, the 3 of us sat there together, almost like a normal family, eating breakfast and watching the snow. But I couldn't shake the clock ticking louder in my head. Her family was coming soon. And with them, something else. Mia stopped chopping vegetables for dinner, her face pale. She glanced at Owen, then back at me.
"Dad," she whispered, "I need to tell you something important. Dad, I need to tell you something important." The way Mia's voice cracked froze me where I stood.
17-year-old daughters don't use that tone unless the truth is about to shatter everything you thought you knew. I set the carving knife down, my pulse hammering in my ears. Owen had already abandoned his gaming console and drifted into the kitchen, his eyes serious. It felt like the 2 of them had rehearsed this moment, like they knew I'd need backup. Mia unlocked her phone, her hands trembling only slightly, and opened a recording app. Dozens of files blinked back at me, each one stamped with dates stretching across the last 3 months. "We've been recording Mom's phone calls," she said. My heart lurched. The late-night ones she takes upstairs when she thinks we're asleep. I could barely form words. "Why?" Owen answered flatly. "Because she thought we weren't paying attention. But we were." "We know about Brett." The name stung like a slap. Mia's voice dropped even lower. "We know about the hotel meetings, the calls with Aunt Candace and Grandpa Vernon paying for everything.
"And we know they're planning to bring him here today. At Christmas dinner?" I staggered back, gripping the edge of the counter.
My children, my sharp, loyal children, had uncovered what I'd been too blind to face. Not only was Bethany unfaithful, but her entire family had conspired to make my replacement feel welcome at my table. "There's more," Mia whispered, and the way she said it made my blood run cold. "We know about the college fund money." I froze. That fund was sacred. I'd been saving for it since the day Mia was born. "What about it?" "She's been taking from it," Owen said calmly. "Small amounts. We found the statements she tried to throw away."
"We saved them!" My hands shook.
My children had become detectives in their own home, guarding me while I walked around in denial. And as the truth poured out, I realized something terrifying. They were more prepared for this betrayal than I was. By noon, The quiet house transformed into a stage for chaos. One by one, Bethany's family arrived like vultures circling something wounded. Vernon and Lorraine Hayes strutted through the front door first, their oversized SUV parked out front, as if they were the true owners of my driveway.
Vernon clasped my hand with that smug, condescending grip he'd perfected over the years.
"James," he said, "a house smells good. Let's hope you didn't overdo it this time." Behind him, Lorraine breezed past without so much as eye contact, already criticizing the decorations I had hung myself. "A little uneven, don't you think?" Bethany always preferred more symmetry. Her words sliced through the air like knives, and I bit my tongue. These people had mastered the art of making me feel like a guest in my own home, and they'd been practicing for nearly 2 decades. 20 minutes later, Candace arrived. She wore a fake smile polished enough to pass for charm, though her eyes betrayed a certain glee in the tension filling the house. She leaned in, offering an air kiss. "Merry Christmas, James. You look tired. Everything okay at home?" The tone of her voice told me she already knew what was coming, that she'd been in on the scheme from the beginning. Mia and Owen exchanged glances from the living room, their phones tucked away but ready, just as we'd planned. If things escalated, they'd record it all. At 1 o'clock sharp, Bethany finally descended the staircase. Not in pajamas, not even in festive attire. No, she wore a fitted dress, hair and makeup done with surgical precision. She wasn't preparing for Christmas. She was preparing for a performance. "Family's all here," she announced, her voice lilting, her smile bright enough to blind. Except when her eyes flicked to me, I wasn't family anymore. The table filled quickly, Vernon bragging about his job as though he ran Wall Street instead of pushing paper at an insurance firm, Lorraine nitpicking every detail from the temperature to the music, and Candace dropping subtle little jabs in Bethany's favor. But the tension hung so thick in the air, you could slice it with a carving knife. At 1:30, the doorbell rang. The sound vibrated through me, the moment I'd been dreading since dawn. Bethany practically leapt from her chair, hurrying to the door with more excitement than she'd shown for our family in years. When she returned, he was with her. Brett Coleman, tall, tan, polished like a catalogue model. He carried a bottle of wine with the price tag still stuck to it. His smile screamed sales pitch, not sincerity. And in that moment, my worst fears weren't fears anymore. They were flesh and blood, standing in my dining room, shaking hands with my wife's family.
"Everyone," Bethany said, her voice pitched higher than usual. "This is Brett Coleman." She beamed like she was presenting a prize on a game show, not parading her affair partner into my house.
Vernon nearly jumped from his chair, clapping Brett on the back like he was welcoming a celebrity.
So good to finally meet you."
"We've heard wonderful things."
"Finally meet you in person." That phrase hit me like a slap.
This wasn't an accident. It wasn't a spontaneous holiday introduction. This had been planned, whispered about, rehearsed for weeks. They'd all been talking behind my back, comparing me to him, waiting for the right moment to throw me aside. Brett smiled awkwardly, his teeth too white, his sweater too expensive, like a man trying too hard to fit a role he didn't quite understand. Lorraine glowed, treating him with the warmth she'd never once shown me in 18 years. Even Candace's smirk seemed to soften when she looked at him. Then Vernon dropped the bomb. With all the subtlety of a wrecking ball, he said, "Brett here will be perfect for Bethany after the divorce." The silence that followed was deafening. Brett's smile faltered. Bethany froze, her wine glass trembling in her hand. Even Candace blinked, momentarily shocked by her father's bluntness. Me? I didn't flinch. I calmly set down my fork, reached for a dinner roll, and buttered it with deliberate care. My movements were slow, precise, controlled. The kind of control that only comes when you've already accepted the truth and prepared for war. Then I looked up, smiled, not with anger, not with pain, but with clarity.
"How nice," I said evenly, taking a bite.
Brett, did they mention the house is in my name?
And that prenup Bethany was so eager to sign?
The color drained from Bethany's face instantly. She choked on her wine, her hand shaking so hard I thought the glass might shatter. Brett glanced around like a man realizing he'd wandered into a minefield without a map. Vernon opened his mouth, then closed it again, fish-like, for once, completely speechless. For the first time in years, I felt steady. Not broken, not humiliated, steady. The game had changed and I wasn't the one cornered anymore. "Now, James," Vernon finally managed, his voice quivering despite his attempt at authority. "There's no need to be difficult."
We're all adults here, I laughed, low and sharp. Adults? Adults who scheme behind my back and bring my replacement to Christmas dinner like he's a new appliance you're test driving? That's what you call adults?
Bethany's fork clattered against her plate.
James, stop it!
"You're embarrassing yourself." "Embarrassing myself?" I leaned back, letting the silence hang just long enough to sting. "Bethany, why don't you tell Brett about that secret account you opened at First National?" Her face went pale. "What are you talking about?" "The deposits, small transfers from our joint account, always careful, always methodical. The kind of thing someone does when they're planning a major life change." I spoke casually, spooning mashed potatoes onto my plate as if this were any ordinary dinner conversation. Brett's eyes darted from Bethany to Vernon, confusion spreading across his polished features. He'd come here expecting charm and wine. Instead, he was getting a front-row seat to a confession booth. "And Brett," I added smoothly, "since we're on the subject of finances, maybe you'd like to ask Vernon about those weekly hotel charges on his corporate card." Vernon turned purple so fast I thought he might collapse.
What hotel charges?
He barked. "The Marriott downtown," I said evenly. "Every Tuesday afternoon, same suite for 3 months straight. The compliance department at your firm was very interested when I sent them copies of the records." The room erupted. Lorraine shrieked about family reputation, Bethany began crying, and Vernon shouted about lies and corporate policy. Candace jumped in with her usual brand of fake sympathy. "James, this is cruel. It's Christmas." "You're right," I replied, my voice calm but cutting. "It is Christmas, the season of giving. And today, I've been given clarity about exactly who all of you are." In the doorway, Mia appeared, her phone in hand. Her voice was steady, her chin lifted. "Dad, should I play the recordings now?" The entire room went silent. The second Mia mentioned the recordings, the atmosphere shifted like a power outage, everything dim, tense, waiting. Lorraine's sobbing stopped mid-breath. Vernon's bluster evaporated. Even Bethany froze, her lips trembling but silent.
"I'm Brett?"
He pushed back his chair, eyes wide, calculating the exit like a man who'd wandered into a burning building. "I think I should go," Brett muttered, his polished charm finally cracking. "Smart man," I said, giving him a nod. "Doors that way." He didn't need telling twice. He grabbed his coat and bolted, nearly tripping over the rug in his rush. Watching him flee was almost satisfying, like watching the wrong puzzle piece slide off the table, but the real storm remained. "How could you do this?" Bethany finally snapped, turning her rage on Mia and Owen. "Recording your own mother?"
"Spying on me? How could you cheat on Dad?"
Mia shot back, her voice steady, every word sharp as glass.
"How could you steal from our college funds? How could you bring that man into our house?"
Bethany's voice rose to a shriek.
"Those recordings are illegal." "Actually, Mom," Owen cut in calmly, "Colorado's a one-party consent state.
As long as one person agrees, it's legal." We checked. My son said it like a lawyer delivering closing arguments. My chest swelled with pride and sorrow all at once. My kids had prepared for this confrontation better than I had. Vernon slammed his hand on the table.
"Bethany, do you realize what you've done to my career? To my reputation?"
Bethany rounded on him, her voice wild.
"I was thinking about my future, about what I deserve."
I set down my fork and looked her straight in the eye. "Were you happy when you signed that prenup, Bethany? When you insisted on separate finances? When you swore you didn't need me for money?" Her lips trembled. "That was different." "Different how?" I pressed. Different because you thought you could have your cake and eat it too? Different because you assumed I'd never see the truth? Candace tried to step in, her voice oily as ever. James, let's not destroy the family like this. Mia raised her phone higher. Should I play the one where you and Mom laugh about Dad cooking dinner while she's out with Brett? Candace's face went white. For the first time in 18 years, I stood tall at my own table, and they had nothing left to hide behind. The dining room crackled with silence after Mia's words. Candace shrank into her chair. Vernon's face pulsed crimson, and Bethany stared at our children like they were strangers. Her voice shook as she pleaded, "How could you betray your own mother?" Mia stepped forward, her jaw set. "You betrayed us first. You stole from us.
You lied to us.
You brought him here." Bethany's eyes darted to me, desperate.
James, please, we can fix this. Counseling, therapy, we can save our marriage. I rose, slowly, pushing back my chair. Save it?
You paraded my replacement into our home, drained our kids' college fund, and plotted this entire show with your family. What exactly is there to save?
Vernon slammed his fist again. Think about the children.
I am, I said firmly. That's why I'm getting them out of this house. Away from liars. Away from thieves. Mia slipped her hand into mine. Dad, we pack bags. They're already in your truck. Owen joined her, pulling a folder from his backpack. And we researched Colorado custody laws. At our ages, the court will listen to us. We choose to live with you, Lorraine shrieked. You can't take our grandchildren. I turned toward the door, my kids beside me. They were never yours to keep.
They're mine to protect. Bethany lunged forward, grabbing my arm.
What about the house? What about everything we built together?
I pulled free, my voice steady.
The house is mine, and everything that matters is leaving with me. As we walked out into the snowy night, bags already packed, my children close at my side, Mia whispered, "Dad, are you okay?" For the first time in months, I smiled, not bitterly, not with anger, but with peace. You know what, sweetheart?
I'm better than okay. I'm free. The door of my truck slammed shut, and with it, the door on 18 years of lies.